I was extremely excited when I went to Gen Con 2025 and I saw that they were releasing railroad tiles. It appears to be a tile drafting and tile laying version of Railroad Inc., which is one of my favorite games, period. So very, very excited. This game plays for 1 to 4 players. I played it with 2 players and I also played it solo. In this video I'm going to show you the game and then later I'll tell you how it works. So yes, we're gonna draft tiles and we're gonna create our networks of highways and railroads, and we're gonna score points at the end. We have this display here that will go in the middle of the play area, and at the beginning of each round we're gonna draw one of these tokens and place it here. The first round, that doesn't really do much. Now, starting from the other rounds, the remaining tokens, when they come out, they will push that other token there. And so by the third round, it will look like this. We'll see what that does. For now, just trust me that one of the things that this does is a timer, is a round counter. It counts the rounds. So basically when the tiles have been pushed out and the last tile leaves this area here, it shows the exclamation mark telling us that that's going to be the last round of the game. But we'll see what those symbols do. Then here we have a player order section where we place our tokens in the order in which we will draft tiles from left to right. And then we have 4 sections where we're going to draw tiles and we're going to place them right there in the way that you see. That one takes 2 tiles and then 2, 3, 3, and 4, and they will come out of this generous bag loaded with so many different configurations of tiles. We also have some optional tiles that they do recommend you use, and if you use these optional tiles called objective tiles, you will choose 3 stacks at the beginning of the game. Suppose that we choose the stadium and the gas station, and then we choose the temple. For example, each player will take one of these. So with 2 players, each player takes one of each. So everybody will have a set of the objective tiles, and you will simply need to place them on top of the other tiles that you place usually. So starting from the player who is on the left of the display here, that player will go and choose one of the stacks here, one of the sections here. For example, I decided I want those, and I take all of them. You probably have figured out what happens next, that if you take the smaller stacks, you're gonna have a better choice next round, because next round, well, we're gonna determine player order in that way. And so I was light blue, I got a nice selection now, not a ton next time. Now we're talking about those tokens here. If the token for the current round shows the little flag and you're playing with the objectives, and they also have the flag, that means that this round you're also mandated to add one of those objectives, whether you like it or not. And so let's see a practical example here. These are the tiles that I selected. This is my starting tile. And I also had to put down an objective, for example. Okay, so we got, like in Railroad Inc., we got railroads, we have highways, we have stations that connect those, and different from, well, you had to connect identical with identical, so no highway going into railroads like that. What is different though is that you can connect empty edge with empty edge, it's still matching, which you can't do in the other game. And so, for example, I decided I want to do this, and then, oh, see, showing you, I was doing it wrong. There you go, and that, and that, and that. That's something that I could do. It's a configuration that exists, unless I decide to do it that way, for example. Yeah, let's do it that way. All right, everybody places their tiles following the rules. See, I was telling you about the importance of the objective tiles. Let's add one. There we go. There we go. Objective tile. Right there. Gas station. And each objective tile, you can place them as long as it's legal. However, they have conditions for scoring. So, for example, the gas station wants to be part of a long highway network, so I'm going to try to do that. The temple doesn't want a lot of chaos, so doesn't want too many symbols with cars and trains around, for example, things like that. But the stadium wants a lot of people around them. So I placed everybody places their tiles, and now we also, finally, we get to look at that display up there with those symbols, with the pinpoints representing cars, people, and or train stations. So after we're done, we'll look at the symbols in this section of the display, not the one right under the tower, but in that section. So right now it's car and the person. That means I can place a car and a person on a pinpoint symbol matching that. So again, one person and a car, as long as that symbol is empty. What does it? And then after that, we score points. Yeah, we have tokens representing points, and we should be collecting them during the game. When you place one of these wooden components, it scores 1 point for itself. And so, yeah, 1 point, plus 1 point per matching type. So, person, car, train, in the same network. Meaning, if I have another car, looking, of course, you can't find the ones that you want when you're looking for cars. Come on. My point is that if I have a network of connected highway spaces, like so, the first car I put in the network is worth 1 point. If I put another car there, now it's worth 2 points, one for itself, one for the other one. If I will have later another car in the same network of highways, it's worth, the car that I placed there is worth 3 points, up to a maximum of 5 points. If I already have 5 pieces in a network, each subsequent piece that I put there is worth 5 points, but that one will be worth 3 points. And so for highways, you're just looking at networks, of course, of only highways. For railroads and networks of railroads. But people, they travel around, they can change, they can switch around a station, so you're checking networks of highways and railroads, they still connect the people. So, first you place your tiles, then you try to add those elements there and try to get your networks to pay off. If you don't like the symbols that you're seeing there, you can spend a star token, yay, you will collect it during the game, to place something else, to place a car, a person, or a train, regardless of what is there. So in this case, I really want to place a train this turn. I can't. Well, then I play a star. And I do that. So that's the general idea. Turn after turn, we select our tiles from the supply there, and we collect the tiles, and we determine next round order. We place our tiles, we add wooden elements, score points in the process, and we continue until, again, the last tile from that pile has reached the station, and so the waiting room of the station, and has left the waiting room, showing the exclamation mark. That is the last round. We play that, and then we score points, which is super important, super awesome. You will score points you will check the objective tiles that, and you see, actually no, you score them at the end. You score the objective tiles to see if you have matched the situation, the circumstances. You also check for cities. Each group of 3 or more city tiles next to each other is worth 5 points. So you want to have as many groups of exactly 3 tiles as possible, because bigger cities do not give you more points for that. That is not a city, but I know what I mean, so that's also kind of important. I know what I mean in my head. Also, the largest rectangle that you have in your display without holes is worth 1 point per tile. Right now, my largest rectangle is 2 by 4, and so I would score 8 points for that. Of course, in real, I'll be trying to make it bigger, but I may also not be able to get a bigger one. And so that's still the idea there. So, collect points, and ultimately, however, you also have a penalty if you have for each open ending past 5. You get 5 free open endings that go nowhere. And so, for example, here I would have one right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Not so great. Of those 8, 5 are for free. I lose 3 victory points because of that penalty. Total your points from everywhere, and the player with the highest score wins the game. I love Railroad Inc. I love it. I played it so much. I played a game night all the time. I played in restaurants. It was a restaurant my kids and I used to go. They're a little slow, and we order food. We play a game, and usually we were scoring it by the time they brought us the food. Once I took pictures of the die rolls that you need for a game, I put them in a slideshow, and so I was able to play with 120 students in a large classroom at IU, just projecting the images. It's so flexible. You can play while you're camping and everything like that. Because of the flexibility of Railroad Inc., I don't think Railroad Ties will get played quite as often, but simply because almost no game I play quite as often as that one. You can play it everywhere. Here you need a table, you need some space, some room. And honestly, if you didn't tell me from the title that there was a similarity, I might have missed it, because the mechanics, the implementation are pretty different. What is at the core, the idea is that you're creating networks by laying tiles, but that's not unique to Railroad Inc. And the longer the network, the better. But again, those are we have seen them in other games. However, what's most important is this. I think the connection with Railroad Inc. is fairly tenuous, other than for the general graphics and the name, I guess. But this is a fun drafting tile laying game on its own. It has that bit of a simple king domino kind of dilemma. The better the tile this turn, the later you go the following turn, and you hope that you still get something better. And I would say actually that I think there's better choices here. Sometimes in King Domino, the choice can be restricted, and then you really get stuck with a big stinker. I thought that I was still able to do a bunch of good things even when I went later in a turn. Still, the dilemma, you're probably gonna have more tiles if you go earlier in a turn. People will want that. And so you have the circle. Better, less better, good, less good. The objective tiles also really add to the experience, which is different from Railroad Inc. because usually I play the base game. I have the expansions and I just go back and play the base game. Here, those optional objective tiles, they're fun because you get them and then you're trying to improve them, to build around. Of course, you're already planning ahead, knowing what you're gonna get, but you don't know exactly when you'll have them, and yet it's not completely you don't have a ton of turns, so if there are no objectives the first 2 turns, well, you know they're coming. So I think this game is a really nice balance between the randomness of the tiles that come out and the level of decision that you can make, that you can implement. You have a ton of tiles and with different configurations, but say, different from Railroad Inc., and this I like very much, I didn't find myself stuck very often. I didn't find myself forced to do really things, to place pieces in a way that I really didn't like. I think you have more flexibility here. The components look great. The graphics are awesome. The wooden pieces and the idea that you are creating a scoring engine because more people on the same network will score more trains and more cars will score more, incrementally more. It's all fun, it's all great. I played it with 2 players, I played it solo, it works well either way. It's really a different game from Railroad Ink, so you definitely can have both in your collection and not feel that they are redundant. It's a tiling game, which is a mechanic that I really like, with a drafting component mechanic I also like, and the two of them go together very well, and the experience is really fun, and then it becomes, of course, very satisfying when you do finally create your city. And again, I found myself being satisfied by my creations more than I sometimes am in Railroad Ink. Hey, I still lost because the other player had more satisfying creations, but I felt it was really just fun to create these nice looking networks of cities, highways, and railroads. I would say yes, it has a really nice stable presence as you see your network grow. So railroad tiles, it's simple, super simple. Level of complexity of King Domino probably less. So very accessible, but very fun, very entertaining, and definitely I look forward to playing it more.